Good afternoon, everybody. Friday afternoon. We've been very busy this week, our office, meeting with online with many of our businesses, whether it's the dance studios or the group that we have here, which is the vacation rental businesses that are going to be represented on a business panel today. Start every show off by saying, look, we need to make sure we're staying safe and following directions that are coming from Dr. Scott and the health department and the governor in her office. We got to make sure that we don't get catch the virus. And we need to do everything we can to make sure that our families stay safe and the people in our lives stay safe. So, but we know that we're reopening and we know we're reopening with the virus. So we want to be as flexible as we can to help our businesses and our small businesses in particular, make sure that they survive this crisis. We want to make sure that the businesses that were in business before the health crisis started are in business after the health crisis is over. And that's what we're working on this broadcast. So, Ben, could you come on just for a second, please?
Hey.
Ben Barber is our producer of the show here, and I just wanted to introduce him. And also, Ben, we're going to take questions. I've carved out some time. Instead of putting a second business panel on today, I've carved out time. So just in case anybody who's listening in or watching on, they can supply questions. And how does that work? Tell people how that works.
Yeah, so basically, if you ask questions in the comments below, we are going to have some of the heads on from the Department of Labor and Training, the SBA, and the DBR, and they're going to be on at the front of this, and they're going to give statements, and then they're going to answer some questions. So if you have questions regarding that stuff, I know that a lot of people have questions for Matt from the Department of Labor and Training, and we'll do our best. Also, I just want to point out that Cheyenne from the Lieutenant Governor's office is in the comments answering the questions that we can't get to, and she'll put out the email addresses and all of that stuff and the information for where you can get the answers. So if you have questions, please ask, and we will do our best to get to all of them.
Thanks, Ben. You're like the Ed McMahon of Johnny Carson right now, kind of helping in and keeping this show alive and going well, and we couldn't do it without you. So so let's bring Matt Weldon in from the DLT. We can kind of get right to the heart of the matter. And again, I'm gonna, for those who are listening, and I see Joe Rodeo from our office, who does our legal work, is on as well, who might be able to answer some questions that are being asked. But Matt, I just want, again, for those who are just kind of listening in for the first time, you're assistant director at the Department of Labor and Training, and you've been tasked with working on the unemployment issues, whether it's for regular unemployment or now sole proprietors, independent contractors, gig economy. And you've been a tremendous resource. And I just want to let the people out there who are listening know that they can contact our office. We can get to you directly. And also you can be contacted directly. So give us an update from Tuesday. And again, thank you for being here.
Well, it's my pleasure. We're incredibly busy, but we're doing the best we can. And I see some of the questions already in the comments. I look forward to having a chance to answer some of those. Please know that we do appreciate your patience, and we know it's taken too long to get back to people. This system was never designed to handle the capacity that we have right now. There's just so many claims and so many people that need help, and we're doing it every day and trying to help. We're here early, we stay late, we're working 7 days a week. And actually the weekend's coming up, and I know it's going to be a beautiful weekend. And I promised my wife that I would try to get home by midday on both days, because I've been here 7 days and the weekends are good to catch up. So that's good. And if you have not heard back from us, I will do my best to get to you tomorrow. The challenge is there are so many people. So let me tell you about some of the system-wide changes we're making that hopefully will help move these people further down the track and get them connected with their payments a little quicker. Just a quick update on numbers. We're almost at 220,000 unemployment claims. They continue to come in every day. They're coming in smaller batches than they were before, but they're still coming in. And TDI claims, we have about 22,000 almost. There's just so many. I mean, we have our staff, right now I think the director said this week, we've added about 4 times as many people to handle this. And that's through a series of ways. We added staff members. We hired 20 new members. We also brought back some retirees to help us that had the experience that we needed. We've worked with a vendor on the outside as well, and we also have a hotline that's being managed by an outside group. They're doing the best they can, and I apologize on their behalf, but every day we're unlocking these benefits for more and more people. One thing that happened in the last couple of weeks, and I know a lot of people have had 2 payments held, 1 or 2 payments, it's because of this fraud issue that we've been dealing with. And there've been a number of news stories about it. The director was interviewed a number of times. Basically, what happened is we've been using some different tools and resources and working with the state police to try to root out fraud and find where is it coming from, how can we protect the trust fund, and how can we get people connected with the benefits that deserve them, not just everyone that files, which could be somebody in another state that's a bad actor that's trying to take advantage of a public program. And so some people got caught up in that. It's like a dragnet, and you scoop up things that you didn't intend to. The good news is that today we're going to release that a great number of those. Everyone will get an email saying that unfortunately your claim had been held up and now it is released. Your payments will be auto processed, and those payments that you're owed will be on the way. Usually, for a lot of those customers have internet banks. Those banks receive payments in about a day, maybe 2 days after we process. So everyone should have that money over the weekend. That's a good thing. We've been trying to do those in doses every day, but there's no way we could manually catch up with all of them. Yeah. The other thing are the extensions we've talked about a number of times. The extensions are complicated. It's because once you expire your claim, either the year ends or the benefits run out, your bank account goes dry, then we have to get you back onto another claim. And depending on when that happened, it becomes more and more complicated to do it. It is possible, and it will happen for everybody that's owed money. And they'll all go back to the first week of April when the federal government provided those benefits. Right now, in doses every day, we're sending new groups out, and it's been about 1,000 a day. We hope to get them all out soon, but when all these things happen at one time, it's incredibly complicated to keep everything going in the right direction. You can't put all your focus on just a fraud issue or just an extension issue. You have to balance. And so that's what we do every day. I have over 1,600 emails now. I'm doing my best to go through them. I do use search terms to pull some out. And so I'm trying to find the ones from your office every day. And if I'm a little behind, I'm sorry. Doing the best we can. And, I don't like to just open a claim, take a look at it and close it. I like to open it, figure out the problem, talk to the claimant and solve it. And so that takes a little bit longer, but it actually comes to a resolution. Other than that, looking forward to some nice weather. That'll be a good thing. Looking forward to see how long Joe's beard gets. It seems to be getting longer every time we get on one of these Zooms.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good there. Matt, I got, again, a couple questions, time for questions a little bit. And then these are the type of things that your unique situations that are happening. We've had this person, contact our office. They were living in Florida 2 years ago. I've lived in Rhode Island now for the last 2 years, worked in Rhode Island, filed a claim down in Florida when they were there, maybe as they were leaving, maybe 12 months ago, something like that. Still alive down there. So when they filed here, they got kicked out. Now, and then they've been told that they've been told that they're not collectible down in Florida, but they're not collectible in Rhode Island. Does that sound right?
It's unemployment is you got to think of it like a big national program that's run by, every state a little bit differently, but you have to look across the states. So if there's an open claim in another state for the same period of time, we cannot open a claim. Now, there are traps that people fall into all the time, and the only way to help them is for me to get the information. And if I think I have this one because I think I saw it, I'll do a search in my email after this and try to figure it out. It's going to require me putting one of my experts in touch with Florida. And, it might take a half hour or 45 minutes on the phone to figure out what the problem is, but we'll do it. The challenge is I can control the Rhode Island side of it as much as possible. The Florida side, we're kind of at their whim. So if they decide to work with us, that's great. If not, and we can somehow void it out and just process them here, we'll do that. So we'll get them going.
Yeah, I bring it up more to just share with the the people who are watching in here how complicated your job is right now, because there's for every individual type of situation, there's dozens more, right? And so you just explain how you got to track it down one at a time, and that's a great deal of time that you're allocating to that. But again, we're in the business of trying to help individuals.
That's right.
So that if that's the only way we can do it, it's your office has been fantastic about not just like, oh, let's get on to the next one, and because that one's difficult, you're taking the difficult ones too. So we'll follow up on that one. But that's something that came across my desk since Tuesday.
Sure.
I just wanted to bring it up to you. Joe, do you have anything that that you wanted to add here at all, or?
I guess, but I sort of have a question for Matt as we work into these reopening phases, and individuals hopefully start reporting that they've been called back to work or what they intend or expect to earn for the week. How long before that process starts will that start to show in some of the data? What's the lag time before we see whether hopefully working into some new phases of economic activity that we've maybe leveled off? How long would you expect that data to reflect?
So let me just make sure I understand what you're asking.
Sure.
People report back to us that they either have returned to work or no longer need benefits, or employers have reported people in, and people start to end claims.
Correct.
Right. So we're talking about current claim load activity. So what I've reported every time is new claim filings. That doesn't necessarily tell you that people have come out of that number.
Right.
So what I could do is try to report another number and share with you maybe next week sometime, if my data people can get to it, kind of what the trend has looked like, so you can get a sense of, what does it look like for continued claims, is what we call them, over a period of time, and do we start to see those decline, and does that show any result in, it's going to be unemployment rate, it's going to be money coming out of the trust fund. There's a number of factors that will play in.
Yep.
Maybe I can put together a little.
Well, I don't want to create work. You guys have a lot of important work.
No,
to
but
do. Getting people on benefits. I think the question is more for those of us, watching just the macroeconomic factors and the impacts on the unemployment claims. What's the lag time before we start to be able to see that we're hopefully over that hurdle and moving back in the right direction throughout the employment claims?
The data is always a month old. It's actually like 6 weeks old because it's done by survey, and it's done, so we'll actually, the next jobs report will give us a better picture of what happened here when the pandemic hit. And then I would say the one after that will probably start to show people coming out a little bit.
Got it.
So we do those once a month, and on our labor market information website on DLT's site, we have tons of data if anybody's interested to go in. I'm allergic to data. That's what I tell people. I'm an operations person. Give me the problem and I want to solve it, but data makes me nervous.
Matt, thank you very much. Ben, are there any questions right now? If not, we'll go to either Mark Haywood or Liz, whoever's in the room.
Well, I think that Matt answered the questions in general for the unemployment. I mean, there's just it's sort of the same thing, everybody's trying to do it, like send them in, keep trying to, and they're doing the best that they can. So Matt, if you'll stay on just in case,
sure.
And we'll bring on Mark right now.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Matt.
How you doing, Governor?
I'm good. The weather's getting nice.
It certainly is, and the work continues to pile up.
And the work continues to pile up. Before you start your summary, is there still money available on the PPP loan?
There's $109 billion still available at PPP. And if individuals are looking for PPP, they should go to their lender. If they don't have a lender in particular, they can always call our offices, and we know people who will be taking PPP applications. So let's start off by saying Rhode Island _DO at SBA.gov. We check that every other hour. So we will respond to you as quickly as we can.
Thanks, Mark. I know we helped a couple people get into the network because I've been encouraging people to do that. Is there any, because we're into the that 8-week time frame, is there an extension or is there some back application for that 2.5 times the multiplier there on payroll?
The 8-week time frame starts when the loan is dispersed. So okay. We've had many discussions about this. If the loan is dispersed on June the 29th, then your 8 weeks start then.
That's good information for people to know. That was definitely some of the questions that were being asked. So you want
the current June 30 deadline for disbursement or for application?
Well, you have to have the loan approved and dispersed before June 30th.
Thank you.
So, I mean,
Great.
and you're not going to spend it all in one day.
Right.
So it's 8 weeks after that.
Thank you.
Well, I think it's very important because we got businesses that are, hopefully going to be starting up on our reopening, and they're asking me yesterday or the day before and the day before that, just like you're getting the questions, Mark. So that's really good information that we can pass along. I appreciate that info.
Yeah.
You want to just give us an overview of where you are right now, and then if anybody has any questions.
I was just looking at, Governor, the number of approvals. Are approximately 574 idle approvals for $64.4 million. And that's up about probably about 25, 30 loans overnight. So that's very good. We want to continue to see that continue to increase. A lot of people have asked, well, I only got 150,000. Those decisions are made in Washington. They're not made here. I can't see behind that curtain. I wish I could, but we're well aware of it. And if individuals are concerned, we have recommended that they talk to the congressional representatives.
Yeah, so that's good to know. And Mark, I think that there's been, again, any update on the forgiveness of these loans that is different in any way? I know that they have extended the time frame to May 18th if businesses feel as though that somehow that they thought they were eligible when they applied, but now circumstances show that they didn't need it to cover their payroll. They have the May 18th.
The safe harbor. I mean, it's been deemed that anything below $2 million is going to be considered to be automatically. And I'll tell you, Governor, the number of loans that we have above $2 million are very far and few between. I am aware of some, but in those cases, they were desperately needed by those particular companies. And I'm fairly confident that the Rhode Island people that got their loans are in very good shape.
Great. So we had set aside, I want to do a one business panel today because we haven't been able to get, some questions. So if there are questions of Mark, you can ask them and we'll have them on there to answer, or have them come back in if there's any questions out there, but you can certainly type it in. Joe, do you have any comments or questions for Mark relative to the SBA issues?
Well, just want to point out, Mark referenced question 46. For those that are still thinking about the May 18th safe harbor deadline, just encourage you to go on and take a look. Those loans under $2 million, the necessity good faith certification we've had a lot of questions about, was clarified that those won't be diving into, SBA won't be diving any deeper into those under $2 million as referenced by him. And actually, consistent with the guidance Mark gave us 3 weeks or a month ago on this call, even before that was in writing from the SBA. So thanks, Mark.
Yeah. Well, that's great, Mark. Keep up the good work there. It's not easy. Ben, we got some questions. We might have a couple questions for you, Mark.
We do. So there's several of them. But there's a bunch that involve PPP and EIDL. One says we were told that the EIDL money needed to be deducted from the PPP, and only that amount would be forgiven. Then we hear that the EIDL is different and stands alone. Do we need to file paperwork for the EIDL to have that forgiven?
No, you do not.
Okay. Thank you very much. That was pretty clear. And and somebody else said we're halfway through our PPP and just want to know how we get this forgiven. Who do we send the paperwork to, SBA or the bank?
No, don't send it to SBA. That wouldn't be very good. It's going to go back to the bank where you originally made the loan, but we don't know what forgiveness looks like. So once we do, we'll let you know.
Okay. And let's see. I just want to throw out that they'll have a special SBA presentation in Spanish on Tuesday at 5 p.m. on Facebook Live. And I just want to check one more place. The EDIL money received when also receiving a PPP loan. So you basically answered all of the questions. And if there are more, Cheyenne will get to you in the comments to send them to who they're supposed to be to. Thank you so much, Director.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Mark, the weather's getting good, and I'm hoping that you're able to find a way to the first tee pretty soon. But we're going to have a core group of businesses on this call. Hope you can listen in, who are involved with summer rentals, vacation rentals, and that 14-day quarantine that's kind of impacting some of our other businesses, including golf courses. I got a call from another member that's at another course saying the same thing. So hopefully we're going to see some relief in that area. So let's keep on advocating for that. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Mark, thank you so much for being here. Hope you can stay on and listen to some of the other things that are going on. Liz.
Hello.
Oh my God. You are like the celebrity of celebrities right now.
Oh.
Department of Business Regulation. I hope you got my text and some of the things that we're talking about. But first of all, give us a kind of an overview of where you are and what you want to communicate to the people who are listening and the businesses, small businesses in particular, that we're trying to help out.
Well, first
and welcome.
Super excited about. Can you hear me? I'm okay.
Yes, you're good.
Outdoor dining starting on Monday. So we have been working with both restaurant owners for some time now to find out what the best, the best way to do this was, as well as the municipalities, so we could try to have the most streamlined process. So fast and furious, you're seeing municipalities issue executive ordinances that are providing for a relief in many different ways, whether it be on fees or on certain permits that are needed or zoning. Or certain licenses, right? Everybody's doing a little bit differently, but they're working very closely with their local businesses, their restaurant owners, to make some accommodations. And you're starting to see some of the municipalities work with the Department of Transportation and the residents or the streets to potentially convert some of those into some dining areas. So a lot of that's happening very fast behind the scenes, but we're excited to return to this new normal, at least for outdoor dining. So that's been super exciting to see that evolve. We have provided assistance on the executive ordinances, on information to restaurant owners, information to municipalities, as well as information for both of them on tents, right? So if you want to put a tent up, they come with rules. And so we've kind of tried to put that information out there in a very easy to understand way. And so all of that is both on the DBR website, as well as the Reopening RI website, as well as the Commerce RI website. Something else I wanted to bring up was the control plan template, which, everyone's sort of required to do. They don't have to submit it. We get that question a lot. You don't have to submit the plan, but we do want you to have a plan because it makes you think about what is best for your business. So last time I was on here, I talked about the building of confidence and talking to not just your customers, making it safe for them, but really paying a lot of attention to your employees, because we want your employees to feel very safe so that they can be good advocates for your business as well. So that template is very user-friendly, easy to use, and we ask you to fill that out and keep it either readily available or, if appropriate, post it so that it's in the front of your store, and so people know that you have taken it seriously and that you have come up with a plan to address all of the guidelines and the needs, so that you as a customer feel more confident going into the store. Another thing that we've done is we finally took a pause. So when this all started, there was a need for people to know whether they were critical businesses or not, and whether they could be open or closed. So we very quickly just set up a form electronically and a hotline that people could inquire to us. That has since evolved into a many hundred per week place for people to ask all sorts of things. So whether it's a question about their business, whether it's some guidance that they need, whether it's a complaint that they have because whether the store or an employee is not being taken care of, or just a question, right? They come to, while we didn't plan on being the place that all the business questions came to, we have very quickly become the place. And so if Matt's still on, gosh knows I send Matt emails all the time. We send emails out to the Department of Health, to many of their divisions. We send it out all over the place. So we took a pause about a week ago to say, all right, if we're going to be doing this full time now, right, we're rededicating staff and we are basically reorganizing ourselves. We're going to change our software so that we can better track the cases and the complaints that we're receiving. And then we've also set up a very large inspection team. So DBR already had about 23 inspectors in our fire, building, and commercial licensing areas. And between them and then there are some lottery department inspectors who normally inspect Twin River. They're going to be doing inspections now as a cohesive group, looking to make sure that businesses are compliant with the guidelines that we've set up and those things that are in the emergency regulations as well as the executive orders. So they started getting trained, excuse me, on that both yesterday and today. And starting tomorrow, they will be going out to, the intent is by no means to penalize and punish anybody. It's far more about education because, we're trying to build this customer confidence so that people will go out dining and go out shopping and take advantage of their service-based businesses and things like that. So, so they'll be going out. We're going to be focused, at least for the next week, on retail businesses, more of your Main Street small shops. So we will have inspectors out all over the state. Talking to business owners, letting them know what the requirements are, letting them see if they have questions, providing signage to them for, depending on what their situation is. So that's all evolving and happening fast. We actually sent an email out earlier today to all of the chambers and merchants associations, letting them know about this, as well as the checklist that we will be asking each of the business owners about, and we've asked them to provide that to their members and to the retail stores. So the first week we're going to do retail. We'll see how it goes, and then we're going to figure out where we go from there. So that's kind of the update on all the things that we're doing. And I understand you might have some questions you might want to specifically ask me, so feel free.
Yeah, I got a couple, and also just get as you have been, anything you're communicating to the business community, get it to our office. We'll make sure we get that up, support you, and then we've got the several thousand right now that are on our list because of these calls, and also the Gift It Forward program that'll be on shortly to give an update there with some pretty exciting things. So first, can you share with anybody, again, it's not your area to a certain degree, but there was an announcement that maybe some funding that potentially to help with startup costs, as a reopening cost because of the COVID-19. Are you familiar with that, Liz, or should we refer that somewhere else?
So that is a commerce program. I can tell you that we've gotten a lot of inquiries about it. And so we have sent them over to the commerce department. So if you have an interest in, I believe it's laptops and different kinds of PPE, that I would refer you to calling the 521 helpline. That's 521 HELP, or going to the Reopening RI or the Commerce RI website where you can fill out a form and make a request there.
Yeah. So then, these are the type of things that I'm getting this week. And then Ben will come on if he's getting any questions. But it's this timing, obviously. In terms of having some definitive dates for gyms, for fitness areas, yoga areas, hair salons, dance studios. I was on with 30 different dance studios on a call yesterday. We plan to have them, talk about on Tuesday, talking about how this virus has impacted their businesses and what they see as a safe type of opening. We're recommending to every group that we talk to, or even an individual business, that they do put it in writing and they give it to us, or they, or go directly to you, or we'll get it to your office, or go to our office and go to your office at the same time with plans. And I know that that's happening. So can you make any comment about what we can see, in the general, in the short term, in terms of actually having dates that are specific, and then a sense on how flexible we're going to be for things like we'll hear from the vacation owners, summer rental owners right now, shortly, this 14-day quarantine, they're getting cancellations all over the place. There's other businesses that are being impacted negatively by our mandate, where other states have it as recommended. Can you tell us, give an update on some of those things in general, and then if there's anything in particular you can share, Liz, that would be helpful.
Well, there was about 30 questions in there, so let's see if I can.
I know there's a lot of questions there.
So let's see if I can get to some.
I'll give you one at a time. Anything happen on the 14-day quarantine that we could know about?
I was going to start with dance studios. That's so much more fun. So.
Start with the dance studios. That would be okay. Start with the dance studios. I think you've heard from them in the last 24 hours. At least somebody in your office has. I know that because I directed them.
No, there is an entire team of people, a broad range of people, just because it involves, that's the thing, right? It's not just dance studios, it's karate studios, it's summer camps, it's everything else that goes along with it. So there are a team of people focused on children's activities like that. And you saw that the governor announced that we're going to be allowing for summer camp coordination. That was our first announcement. There will be other ones that come out after that. We did summer camp first because you have to plan much further ahead for that than the other ones. But there are a team of people working on it. I think the summer camp was the end of June, is my recollection from the newspaper today. So there are a bunch of people working on that. What they're looking at is the pod concept. So the pod concept is the idea that you have, I'm not sure what the final number will be, but let's just say a group of children who are always together, right? So rather than having a traditional camp where there's kids that intermingle with each other all day, every day, and increasing any chance of cross communication, you would have a group of children who are always together. So they would eat together, they would do certain activities and fun things together, so that you can do it like that. So that's the conversation that they've been having about summer camp, and I think they're looking at trying to see what they can do for some more of the like dance studio, karate classes, things like that as well. As far as the 14-day quarantine, that is something the governor feels very strongly about. Is that the people of crossing state lines? As you know, so we have the two hot spots in the nation are right above us and right below us, right? So it is something that she has felt very strongly about and that we are supporting. There is no new news on that. She continues to get asked about it in the press conference, and she answers those questions pretty clearly. I think what was the first one you asked me about was there's hair salons, barbers, things like that. So we have talked to a lot of hair salons. There's 18,000 hairdressers, cosmetology licenses across the state. And so we've received a lot of input. We are working on a guidance document with them that should be coming out in short order. I don't have an exact date at all, but we're trying to figure out ways to make it work. If you're trying to figure out what to do now, rather than waiting for our guidance to come out, please take a look at what other states are doing and what the CDC recommends. At some point we will have our guidance, but if you really, really want to start to work on it now, then by all means do so. As far as things like gyms and stuff like that, I have to say that you might really want to spend a lot of time looking at what can be done outdoor. The idea of people sort of, I call it huffing and puffing indoors in a large group setting is, that's far off. We're not really in a place to be ready to do something like that. So to the extent that you can do really any of your business outdoors, I would encourage you to do that. Particularly, we're lucky that the summer months are coming upon us. So that's the brief summary. I'm not sure what other specific questions you might have.
No, I do have a certain point of view on, and being in a small business myself. There's variations inside the same umbrella, right? Fitness umbrella. So you're hearing a lot of boutique type of businesses that are more one-on-one, very small memberships, and then you have models that were put 100 cardiovascular pieces of equipment in the same room, have 35, 40 people in your spinning classes. So there's different models. Are you able to kind of be flexible in terms of how you're looking at each model? I know that certain states in some of the fitness models are doing one-on-one training is being allowed indoors. And then, it's only a small sector of the people that are in the business, but are you able to kind of really differentiate? Not every business is a 20,000 square foot, multi-purpose type of a facility.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a difference between having less than 5 people and having more than 5 people, being in a big room, being in a small room, right? So to a certain extent, a small room is actually worse, right? So if you can have 5 people in a bigger room, that's a little bit better. So there's just so many gray areas and so many particular things. So again, if you are a fitness person and you could do something outside, particularly in small group, sorry, I had a call I was talking to. Your likelihood is far better chance of being open. But if you're a small room with a lot of people, so like you talked about with spin classes, that's far off. I'm not going to pretend that that's coming soon. I'll let you know that is not likely to happen very soon at all.
But if you take your spin classes outside and separate, is that something that's going to be looked at as being?
Well, we'd be willing to listen.
All right.
Yeah, we'd be willing to listen. It depends on
well, I think that's what we need. We need to really. Okay, and is there any idea, Liz, about the time frame where maybe that that outdoor strategy might be unveiled, to let these businesses know that something's in the works, now or 30 days from now, or?
Yeah, there's not a set date right now. I think we're all waiting to see how the numbers work out. We're coming off a couple of pretty good days of numbers.
Yeah.
The Department of Health obviously has a huge say, if not the biggest say in this, and then the governor has, her input as well. But unfortunately, I do not have any dates to give you.
Great. Joe, do you have anything? Or Ben, you have anything? Ben, it looks like you want to ask a question.
Joe, you can go first.
Thanks, Ben. I just wanted to ask for clarification, Liz. We get a lot of questions about other unique solutions, and as it relates to the outdoor dining guidance that you have, does that apply generically, or is that specific to adjacent spaces? So most commonly you hear about sidewalks or closed streets, but a lot of people are thinking and working with their municipalities about open spaces near them, or parking lots, or groups of restaurants may be spreading out within a large green or open space near them. So does the guidance that you have for outdoor dining apply to any space, as long as you have approvals from your municipalities and the owners of that facility, or is it only for adjacent to their restaurant space?
No, the guidance is pretty general. It talks about how far apart tables would be, as well as what you're using for how your server serves you, reservation systems, things like that. So it would be consistent throughout. Again, so much of it depends on the municipality and on the actual location that you're in, right? So, if you can use part of your parking lot, or if you can use part of the street. We've had other people say, maybe I can use the park that's down the street from me and I can just deliver it, right? So every case is going to be unique. And, the state wanted to allow the municipalities to make some of their decisions their own. And by and large, every municipality is really stepping up to try to do whatever they possibly can to make this work for as many of their restaurants as they can.
Great. Thanks for that clarification.
And I just want to say, obviously, Liz, thank you so much. You answered most of the questions that people have. And as far as barbershops and salons and gyms and all of that stuff, there's also the department, your department's website is in the comments, and they took care of that. So if you have any other questions, those sources have all of the answers, or the contact information for that. I had one question that I thought was interesting. Can catering companies take advantage of outdoor seating the same way as restaurants? Is the question that somebody asked that I thought was interesting.
So that would be something we'd have to look into. I would encourage that person to send us an inquiry at the DBR website. Again, it's either 889-5550 is our hotline, or you can go to the DBR website and fill out a form. I will say that we have been very, very proud that we have been able to respond within usually hours, if not minutes, to the inquiries. The volume of inquiries has increased, and the complexity of those inquiries has increased. So we're at about a 24-hour turnaround now. To hear Matt Weldon say he had 1,600 emails, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. But so while normally I would say email me and I'll have an answer for you by the end of the day, we're just not capable of responding that fast anymore. Plus, that's one I would have to look into. But I can tell you that there have been people coming up with some really creative solutions, and some of them work and some of them just don't work. So encouraging people to be creative, to think about ways they can do things with pickup, delivery, like Joe brought up, using different kinds of spaces and stuff like that. The more you can game out your plan and then share it with us, we can try to see what we can do.
Beautiful. Thanks, Liz. I just want to give your office a shout out. I was catching up on my emails last night around 10 o'clock or so, and I pushed the button, reply to all, to a business, and gave them a little encouragement, but also a little advice, and then your office responded right around the time. So you guys are definitely working overtime, just like Matt is at DLT, and thank you for that, and thank you for making sure that you're responding to these businesses. But I can tell you, flexibility is really a key word in my vocabulary right now. If it's safe and we can say yes, let's say yes. I think you tend to have agreed to that over the years, and then also I think that the state, I really want to see the state step up in an extraordinary way to help these small businesses, which again would make your your job a little bit easier. And a lot of these businesses are really at a threshold right now. They are. They're either deciding to continue or close. And unless we really do something extraordinary by leveraging our guarantees in the state, using the federal money, leveraging that, getting into our financial institutions with a real, aggressive small business loan program, I think you're going to have a very bad situation that's going to unfold over the next 6 months. So happy to work with you, and I'll share my ideas and, take my ideas back to whoever you can that maybe will help us out. It'd be appreciated.
That'd be great. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Okay, Liz. Thanks. All right, Liz. Let's bring Laurie, Chris, Justin, or whoever's here, Ben, and then we can talk about this extraordinary program with, as I kind of say, with a certain amount of appreciation. My three amigos here, three separate small business owners, have put together a remarkable effort, and we just got to get the word out. I was with a group of Warren business owners on a Zoom call last night. And many of them did not know about what we were doing. That's not because we're not trying, but we got to get the word out. I'd like to see the governor's office and commerce really give this a little bit more play, because what you're doing here is extraordinary and bringing so many businesses together. So you usually have the order. So you tell me what order you want to take it today. 3 minutes or so, just give an update and appreciate again all the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you, Governor. Yeah. We'll jump in here and get it rocking. First, huge thank you to Liz and her team. I know we're inundated with questions on how to open, when should I open, where do I go. So it's huge. I can only imagine how much work you guys are putting in, and Matt and everybody. Thanks for all the extra overtime and help to the small business community. As far as the website itself, we're still well over 200,000 views to the site. We're still at about 1,200 businesses signed up to be part of it. We're getting on 5 to 10 on average, still pouring into the site. And we have some really good stuff. And I think that's where I'll turn it over to Chris and Lori to push the momentum forward and capitalize on their specialties and highlight themselves. So Chris, go to town.
Yeah, so we listened to the small businesses and have evolved the rismallbusiness.org site since when Justin started this months ago. And I'm going to try to share my screen. We'll see if the technology works. But what the goal is for this website is, as we said, to be a hub for the rismallbusiness.org. And this is just a draft of what we've just worked on just this week. And hopefully we can finalize it as a team, get input from others, and launch it. So I'm going to press share screen and hope for the best. How did that work? Did that not work?
I think Ben has the video. I thought he had the video.
All right, it looks like we're working. So this is the preliminary. We're going to get a new picture. Don't worry, LG. We're going to get a new picture here. But as you can see, the site is evolving to really be focusing on helping small businesses. We're going to have this shop local section so that consumers can purchase directly and find out who's open, and Lori can talk more about that. How to open, as Justin mentioned, he's been working a lot with that, working with DBR, and Liz and her team has been fabulous to give out the information. A lot of small businesses have said, hey, we need this information. We need to hear from it right away. And we're going to have a section just for that, as well as business services. We need to make sure that we're giving these small businesses the tools in order to compete with the big box stores out here. And we want to make sure that we're putting them in a position to succeed. So those are the 4 main buckets. We have a video, and looks like it's not loading too well, but that's essentially the new site, as well as a way to contact us and contact the Lieutenant Governor's office and sign up for their newsletters as well. So that's a little preview of the new site as the team of us are working on to make it more streamlined and centralized as a hub for small businesses.
Thanks, Chris. And I think all three of you is right on target. My meeting yesterday with the Warren Business Group, and I think there are some people on here now, and we're going to have them as our guests next week. So they weren't aware, but when I started telling them about it, and also the potential help that Lori and the three of you are focusing on about reopening, and many of them didn't have the website to set up. Many of them are looking for that help, and that's what you were starting to talk about. So thanks, Chris.
I think
Lori.
that one of the other things on the site that is that you'll be able to live stream right off the website itself at the same time that you live stream on Facebook. So it will be kind of like this one-stop shop. And so and then the shop local part of it will be the rithrives.com section, and that will really allow the businesses to put their own flexibility out. So as a small business owner, the shop local will be able to show consumers who's open. The businesses will be able to log in on their own and say, this is how we're operating, this is what we're selling, this is what you can expect. And they'll also be able to change that based on how the state standards for reopening come along. So you can check in on the businesses as well as purchase gift cards and gift certificates from the businesses directly from the consumer end. So there'll be links for that to just happen directly with the business. So we're integrating all the businesses together, and then the businesses have the ownership and flexibility to do what they need to do for their business. So it's really exciting.
Well, yes, it is exciting. And thanks to the three of you. This is the time when I say to the people listening, look, if you want to volunteer and you want to really get engaged, I know I'm going to roll a couple professionals back into your space with some ideas that they have that they want to share. This is the time to do it. You can catch me right at my cell phone, the 401-465-6204. And that's how I met Chris and Justin and Laurie through that phone call. Give me a buzz. I'll just end by just saying, look, we want to help our small businesses. The three of you are doing your work is extraordinary, and they're volunteering and they're working hard to try to help our small businesses. So you can help by registering your business. And you can help by going shopping your business needs this weekend. And also you can help by getting involved in this next reopening strategy and providing your expertise to add with the expertise we got to help our small businesses open up so that they can be still standing after this health crisis is over. So thank you to each one of you. We'll have you back on Tuesday. Appreciate it.
All right, awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, the last 10, 12 minutes of the show, Ben, let's bring on our business panel. And I've had the opportunity to meet with Terry and Sara, as well as Leon, to talk about their business issues. And so I want to just set it up we're doing these Zoom calls with different businesses. You heard I did a dance studio one yesterday. I've done the Warren Business Community yesterday as well. We talked, I think, on Wednesday with a core group of people who are in the same on the tourism side of the ledger, and you represent that. And I know that you wanted to kind of share your story, and I want to, advocate for this flexibility that we need to allow your businesses to continue operating. So why don't we just start with Terry? Is that all right? Terry, you okay to start off with?
Well, since I started on Wednesday, I thought I'd go ahead and I let Leon go first, and then Sara, and then I'll bring up the rear.
Okay. Well, welcome to all three of you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Governor.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you for having me on today, guys. It was a really good call on Wednesday. I thought a lot of good information. So I guess I just start off with kind of giving you my background. I'm a native of Middletown. I wasn't born here, but I did grow up here. Been here for 40 years. I'm married with 3 kids. My kids they're little 10 and 8-year-old twins. I work in Massachusetts. My wife works here. She's a realtor on the island. My parents are first generation immigrants from Greece. They have small businesses here. Those businesses include a restaurant, which I essentially grew up in, a little pizza place, a little bigger now than it used to be. And they just, in 2017, renovated a small 8-room bed and breakfast in a very nice boutique hotel here on the island. So we are, embedded in the hospitality industry. My family has been. I work professionally as a software engineer. That's my full-time job. And what we have, my wife and I, is we built a property that we now rent for short-term in Middletown. This whole thing has kind of turned everything on its head for us as far as the property goes. It's to be honest with you, it's very difficult looking down the road on financially how we're going to support the property, and we do have other income sources, but it's hard. The impact to us so far, and I think this probably echoes a lot of the experience of property owners on the island. And I can only speak to the short-term rental side of things, but I can also speak towards the hotel and restaurant side of things as well. But our personal impact has been, ever since this started, we immediately got cancellations rolling in. And the first cancellations were April and May, completely off the table. We lost all of our potential guests and revenue that came in that way. So people were kind of hanging on. We had bookings through the summer. And what we kind of noticed is as the time goes on and, our guests they're keeping an eye on Rhode Island. They're keeping an eye on the restrictions that are now currently in place and the reopening strategy. And over it's literally daily. We're on the phone with our guests that have kept, the hope that they can come. And every week that passes and these restrictions stay the same, we get the next week of cancellations, forward cancellations. Now we're starting to see things like weddings being canceled. We do a big wedding. Our clientele are very much weddings. Probably, I would say 40 to 50% of our clientele are wedding parties. Weddings are canceled, so they're not coming. Got off the phone yesterday with one of our guests. She said that she's still having her wedding, but it went from a 200-person wedding at one of the big venues to a 30-person small thing. They're just going to float into town, have the reception, a small ceremony, and then leave. So there's no need to stay here and spend any time in Newport. They are asking us questions as far as what are the restrictions? What do you think is going to happen? All we can say is we don't know. So that's kind of frustrating to not be able to give our guests. And these are not only our guests. These are, the guests that are the travelers coming into town and spending money all over town and all in Newport. And they're patronizing these businesses. Just to see these people disappearing and just understanding the impact of that, not just on us, but the collateral damage of all of it, right? There's going to be less people in restaurants, less people in bars, less people in the shops. And to be honest with you, I'm not very confident in this summer. And a lot of these shops, they depend on the summer to survive. I can speak for my parents. They're hurting very badly. People want to come in, but they also don't because of the 14-day quarantine. There's some confusion there. If you visit, can you leave the house? Like, are you supposed to just stay in the hotel room or in the rental? That's not really a reasonable expectation, you know.
Yeah.
So those are
Leon.
kind of the frustrations, you know.
Yeah, I want to give Sarah and Terry a chance to weigh in. We got about another 5 minutes, but I think
Yeah,
you've
sure,
really
yeah.
set the table. You
That's-
set the table very well, and that's what we wanted to start this public conversation about the issues that I heard on the call, which had to do with the 14-day quarantine, as well as the how many people can be at one place at the same time. You know, right now it's 5. Does it grow to 10? Does it grow to 15? I've seen some things that indicate that we're heading in that direction. That's why I was asking Liz, but nothing definitive yet. But Sarah, why don't you just give a quick overview of your business, your business, your concerns, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for the audience again. Nice to see you. So I have been coming to Newport for my whole life, and my dream was to retire here. I used to be in technology buying in Boston. We had a pretty meticulous financial plan to come down to Newport, and we started off our rental business in 2009. It is now our only income. I gave up my corporate job 2 years ago because everything looked to be going very smoothly, and obviously didn't anticipate where we're at today. So our hope is that we'll be able to salvage July and August. We've had over 30 cancellations and seen a huge percentage of the income just, go away. But we will probably be able to make our 4 mortgage payments and pay the taxes if we can keep July and August. And we're open to discussing what it might take for short-term rental owners to be able to do that. And I have a lot of different ideas, which I don't know if now is the time or not, that I prepared for our meeting that might help, Gina make the decision and you to make the decision. I know it's presumptuous. I'm only one person, but we've been in the business quite some time.
Yeah. So Sarah, what I would say on the ideas, in terms of a plan, you'll keep on. You should, this should not be our last conversation. You should get, the plan to us. Like I said, with Liz Tanner on there, we'll get it to her DBR to start the conversation. I know the dance studios did that yesterday, and I requested them to do that. So you can deliver it to us. We'll get it to DBR. You can go directly to DBR, but we'll get you that information. And I appreciate, you coming on and explaining that this is a real serious matter. And we should be doing what we can to be as flexible as we possibly can on it.
I mean, I think that there's a way for short-term rentals to operate because I really do believe that they're much safer for people visiting the state than a hotel. And I know that the families feel the same. They're in a single family residence sharing air with people that they've already been with. And on all of what I've been reading, it's really a viral load from time in a space, air, flow, and exchange. Like I certainly wouldn't want to get into an elevator. So I really feel like the short-term rental option to try to keep the tourists coming a little bit to keep the economy afloat is actually the preferable one.
Yeah. Well, Sarah, thank you. And that's why I mentioned to the director Tanner that every industry has its own has many variations inside that industry, and we need to kind of be flexible enough to kind of recognize that. And that's why I think she encouraged, let's get some of those plans in. Terry, we've got a couple minutes. You're a councilwoman as well, right? In Middletown, right? Is it Middletown?
I am. It is Middletown. Yes, sir.
Yes. I was visited there a few months back when things were a little more normal.
Yes, and we were talking education, another big hot topic issue that's also very important. And I'll be quick because I know we're at the end of the call. Just to, as I reported on our call Wednesday, I took my last contract. I'm a little smaller than the other guests. My last contract came in at the beginning of March, right before the shutdown. That put us at about 45% booked. And by April 30th, I had no contracts at all. I was 100% vacant. And nobody knows day to day, things keep shuffling. Every day there's new information, new decisions based on the information you've got. I get it. So we actually took 50% of our business and we went into a long-term year-round contract, which committed us to earning about 25% of what our potential on that 50% of business would be. And we did that because 25% of half of the business is better than 0% of 100% of the business. So
Yes.
we had to get something. It's all numbers. So I'm going to kind of fast forward. We did some things I shared on Wednesday, took some action, went to the Rhode Island smallbusiness.org, registered there, committed to our guests for the other, half of the business to stay vacant for 3 days in a row. And hopefully, maybe kill the virus, but we couldn't lower our rates to do that because now we're, 3/7 vacant. It's a toss up. What's more important, cleaning or price for the guests coming? But I did want to ask, with this 14-day quarantine, I get it's important, certainly important to the governor. Nobody has a crystal ball, but I'm wondering if because of the ripple effect, because our business impacts so many other businesses, not just the tourist business and the restaurants and the shops and the beach, parking revenue and concession revenue, but also all the things that our business carries. We carry insurance and we carry the utility payments, the tax payments. We also hire HVAC and sump pump annual inspection. All these hirings are not getting done. Maintenance, cleaning. Right. So I was wondering if it could be considered perhaps to be solution oriented. That's kind of my mantra. How do we look at this from a different paradigm? How can we be creative? What are we missing? Who's got the next best big idea? So why can't we invest in the economic drivers of our biggest industry, which is tourists? So when I went into Rhode Island smallbusiness.org, my goal was to help Rhode Islanders helping Rhode Islanders. So I put a special just for Rhode Islanders, buy 3 nights, get 1 free, come stay Thursday through Sunday. And at a discount, because right now that's our market, Rhode Islanders, because the 14-day quarantine is preventing any other market. So as an investment in the economic drivers, which would be the out-of-state visitors, which I might get 1 to 2 Rhode Island a season if I'm lucky in past years. Rhode Islanders don't come to Rhode Island. They go to our competitors, the Cape, Florida, etc. So could we entice visitors by saying, you come across the line as a vacationer, we're going to give you a test and we'll find out if you're sick and we'll give you a certificate or a bracelet and you don't have to quarantine if it's negative.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I was talking to another business owner yesterday that is thinking about they have a membership in their business, and they were talking about Massachusetts people taking a test. They actually can facilitate that. I think that's a great idea, Terry, in terms of the short-term, strategies, because that's what we're trying to protect against. And you also got mostly families that come in, couples that come in. They are less likely to have the virus if in fact they're tested and that type of thing. I think that's a really good idea. I really think that your thought about Rhode Island is supporting Rhode Islanders right now. You're going to hear next week about a strategy that we're going to be putting forward for people who want to actually donate PPE stuff, want to donate money, target it towards industries that they want to help out, and we're going to try to figure out how to participate in that. So I think we need to keep this conversation going. Get your business plan to us. We'll continue the conversation, and I really appreciate you all being here. The hour goes pretty fast when you're trying to get all this information in, but I think you laid it out. You 3 of you laid out your argument very well. We'll be in touch with you for sure, and make sure you stay in touch with us. All right.
Thank you very much. We will.
Yep. Thank you.
Bye.
Yep. Okay, Ben, I think that we're done. I just want to say goodbye to everybody, and let's be safe this weekend, and let's make sure we're supporting our small businesses in a way that is helpful to them. We're going to keep on advocating for flexibility. We're going to keep on advocating for big investments by our state and our small businesses, and hopefully we're going to be able to show some results to our work very shortly. Ben?
Absolutely. And I just want to say thank you very much to you, Lieutenant Governor, and to all of the business owners and the department heads that came on today to talk. Obviously, we got hundreds of questions in the comments across. I mean, there's 6 or 7 different platforms that this is being live streamed on simultaneously. So there's a ton of questions. There's a ton of repeats. If your question didn't get answered, if you feel like you can't find the answers somewhere, please send an email, and Cheyenne in the Lieutenant Governor's office will hook you up with whoever it is that you need to talk to. She'll forward you the information you need. They're wonderful at getting back to everybody, and we all understand that this is extremely frustrating and hard for everybody. But I just want to thank you and everybody else who was on today, Matt Weldon and Director Mark and Liz and everyone, Joe, who's doing a really nice job getting everybody the information that they need. So thank you.
Thanks, Ben, and thanks for everybody for being with us. Have a safe weekend. Support our small businesses and make sure we keep our families safe. Bye now.